Tango 1 at the top, we are at pop-up vehicle. 10-4, Tango 1, you have control. Tango 1 copy. Stand by. Stand by.
Integrity, passion, resilience. That's what this place was built on. That's what our community is founded on. Don't act like the example, just be the example. This is the home of the greatest fitness community in the world. We're trying to create strong, able bodies, resilient to injury with a gas tank to get shit done. If there's one thing from this podcast, it's about taking immediate action. Find the problem, fix the problem. This is your opportunity. It's either a hell yes or a fuck no. It's that simple.
You're ruining the Tango 1 podcast.
Now is the time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.
All right, welcome to the Tango 1 podcast. Tony Smith, retired cop and SWAT team leader. I'm the owner, co-owner, and co-founder of the Garage Gym and the owner of Tango 1 Solutions. I'm joined by my friend, fireman Casey Wright, Garage Gym trainer. And today, co-host on the show is my wife and the other co-owner of the Garage Gym, Dani Smith. Every week, this show's mission is to challenge you and guide you to create an immediate action plan against your problems and your weaknesses. We want you to do more and be more. And let's roll with it today. So speaking of weaknesses, what kind of prompted this episode was we just finished our year-end review meeting. And that can be exposes us pretty good. It's pretty ruthless and it's pretty fun. So let's just dive right into it. I'd like to say, so what do you guys think was like at the end of the day, personally for you, was like kind of the one thing where you dropped the ball, or maybe even the highlight, whatever you want to start with?
Let's go with good things first.
Good things first. Start with the good.
Yeah,
start with the best. What do you got, Dani?
No, I mean, I think that we talked about like all of the things that we did well, even though we had a lot of things that were against us. So that was good. Are you talking about me specifically?
Yeah, you specifically, or the business, wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah, I just think that overall our team did a really good job at like sticking with the plan and executing the plan and making sure that we were all on the same page. And I think we worked like a well-oiled machine. So I think that was a positive, and I think that came up a number of times.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. For sure, working as a team, a positive team. I think we did a little bit of like, we allowed kind of like COVID to maybe limit our expectations a little bit as far as like meeting some of the goals that we set out with sales and for some membership things. But other than that, I think we did a pretty decent job at all of that.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was kind of an eye opener. You said a good thing in the meeting, because one was kind of like almost ready for the backlash of us not like hitting the goals for the year, but then also looking back at all the good things we did do and like how we were able to maintain and do a lot of big things. But you made a good point as to like, we did limit ourselves in ways of being like, because this is going on, we're doing enough, instead of like, it's not an excuse to just like set things aside. Like we could have pushed a little harder in different areas. And I think we could have taken advantage of some more sections, but overall, I think we did a lot of good things at the time. And at the time, like, we definitely thought we were doing the right things. And I think we did maintain and stay afloat for the year and do a lot of big things.
Yeah. So, I mean, clearly one of our highlights would have been the success we had with the 5K and the Cruise and Brews event. But I think if you looked beyond those two those are our ultimate highlights. To beat those would be almost impossible. But like the success we had in the 6WT again. I mean, we thought running that thing was our second time around or third time around that we've done this.
I think it was the second one.
Yeah, second time. And we brought in Ben Graham and his awesome machine. And I think we just showed that we can provide a product that people will love and have fun with. And it's something that people really want to do, which is that's what, business is about, giving somebody something that they want and making it happen.
That machine made a big difference between the 2 years. Like the first year was just awkwardly measuring someone with a measuring tape. And then if you slid it down 4 inches, they lost 12 inches in 6 weeks. Where his like Staiku machine, you could actually see every movement or like every piece of somebody, that you can see where they lost inches. And I think people really fed off how much they lost without losing weight necessarily in some areas.
I saw every inch of everyone the first year, because I was in the bathroom for like 4 hours with each contestant dropping their drawers. pants. So I feel like, well, I was in this tiny bathroom and I was the one doing the scale, and it was like, so each person had to come in one after one, and obviously everyone wants privacy, of course. But yeah, it was basically, I was in there for like hours, just people like in their gitch getting on a scale and like, okay, thank you, next.
And I think even like this, we do that Staiku body scan actually right here in the studio. But I think it just lent to like a lot more comfort. Like, it's one thing getting in your underwear in front of people and spinning around on that camera. And Ben was a stranger to these people, but like even having people that, like wrap tape measures around you and take pictures of you I don't know. I just think that second time really lent some more ease into the whole situation. And like just to like kind of recap on the difference, like body composition versus body weight, Dani, like how important is that for people to monitor?
Yeah, I mean, the difference between our scale and Ben's special machine is quite significant. But it's data, and it's good to know the differences at the start versus the middle versus the end when it comes to like muscle percentage and fat percentage. And to be more precise is usually a good thing. Sometimes people take it to the extreme, and that's kind of what they rely on for that. I mean, we have to because it's a competition, but certainly being a little bit more precise or accurate is the name of the game when it comes to a challenge or a competition.
And being able to see those stats, I think, gives people a good perspective, because a lot of times, I know the first year was almost something we learned from, it was like we had people weigh themselves every day, right? Where the second year it was like, don't do that, because you might only see a small movement day to day. A lot of people only did like lose 5 pounds on the scale, but then when you look at the scans, they lost 15 pounds of fat, right? But they just replaced it with muscle mass. So those are actually like, those stats look a lot more appealing. And then that's what people need to focus more on, as opposed to just the number on the scale. And I think that was able to prove it. And I think that's why it was so successful. And we had so many people happy and excited about their gains or losses through the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was cool to see people excited about gains this time around too. Cause like there were some people that they just walked into this room right now, you'd say, well, why the heck? What are you trying to lose weight for? Like, you don't weigh very much as it is. But even some of those, and some of the females in particular that were in that category, really like they gained a lot of muscle mass, and their body fat went down and their inches went down just a little bit. Their body weight maybe didn't move or went down a little bit, but they gained some muscle mass, and they looked, as opposed, like when you're putting those scans next to each other, you could just see the difference on their scans, which is like a 3D, black and white picture, let alone on their like actual pictures that they took. It was pretty awesome to see. And I think you did a great job on that thing, leading that way, Dani. And we're going to see if we're going to run that thing again this year. We will in some point, or in some manner. We just don't know, as we don't know what tomorrow will bring right now with the current state of affairs. We're teetering again on code gray, or whatever the full lockdown is. So at our year-end meeting, you guys have heard us talk about this from on other episodes, and it's one of the really cool things that we do, but it's also one of the most uncomfortable things we do. So we take the 6 of us this year, the full-timers. So we have 5 full-time employees, and Steph, who works, we call her full-time. She works basically full-time hours, or has full-time responsibility and part-time hours. And we sit in a room, and we actually sit on the couch in my living room this year, and we go around that room and we say, like, for example, we'll use Dani, and we'll say, okay, everybody's going to talk about Dani. We take like, a good 15 minutes. We go around the room, and every single person on the full-time team looks at Dani in the eye and says, this is what I admire about you. And then this is what I want you to stop doing or start doing. And the person who's on the end that's getting the criticism or the compliments, or both, is not allowed to argue or defend. They're allowed to ask clarification questions or for examples. But that's the end of it. And mostly our people, this is now the 4th year in a row we've done this drill. And then throughout the year, we all then, at the end of that drill, we basically say, I commit to doing this year, or I commit to stop doing this, or starting to do this, or improving this aspect. And we go through it, and then every quarter we have to re-announce it, and the whole group says good, better, or same. And this year it's getting harder. So it's getting harder because we've done it so many years in a row. So that some of the things that were like bigger about Dani or I, or, Steph, who's been with us all the way through, maybe weren't so glaring and easy to pick out this year. So we went through those, and mine were kind of really eye-opening. What would you guys think?
I think it was definitely good with like self-awareness, because there are things that you don't realize you're doing. And if 5 people in a room tell you are doing, it's an eye opener,
Common themes.
right? Because it's things that you don't know how they perceive it as, or a lot of times you think you're doing the right thing, or not necessarily wrong thing, but you think you don't need to improve in certain areas that obviously do, but it's a good way to do it. And in that like safe zone, basically, you're able to also then tell people what bothers you about them, or not bother so much, but things that would help improve the business or the relationship or anything. So I think it's extremely productive, but when you're in the hot seat, it can be nerve-wracking.
Casey can't get by on just his smile. That's why. Neither can Tony. They just sit there and smile, and then they get
ripped on,
knocked down a couple pegs.
Yes, and Dani just holds ice face the whole time, so we don't know if she's mad or happy. But
I'm never mad, ever.
You look mad right now.
I don't care. Yes, that's how I look.
So one of the things that was pointed out to me by the team, which was, I mean, hard to swallow, but it's really weird that as they go around and you listen to everybody talk, you're kind of like, yeah, I do that, or I don't do that. And for me, it was what was brought to my attention, and what I completely concede is true, and is what I'm going to work on this upcoming year, was that I don't celebrate the wins and the successes. I don't take a minute to just be happy with what we just accomplished. The second that the buzzer rang at the end of the 20 for 20 burpees, I was on to the next. So maybe 4 hours later, after I had a few beers at GL, but 4 hours later, I'm already on to the next thing. What am I going to do? How am I going to continue to pursue whatever my next endeavor is? So this year, for sure, I've told the team I commit to like not doing that, to actually taking a minute to enjoy the successes, the wins that we have before we move on to the next project, or blinders to the next project.
I think that's a big thing, because in a lot of books you read with business owners and CEOs, you hear that more often, I think, than not, because they get so caught up in constantly moving. They never actually sit back and look at what they've accomplished or what they've done. So if you never take that time, it's like, I think you said it specifically, Dani, was like, what's the point of doing all this if you never get a chance to kind of soak it in and actually enjoy what you're doing and be happy for how much you're accomplishing? So I think it is a huge part for a lot of people, and it's not necessarily in business wise, but when you're doing so much so often and trying to stay like on the gas all the time, it's like, what are you doing if you're not able to enjoy the wins every once in a while, at least for not forever, and don't live off them, but for a day or for a few moments, actually sit back and be proud of yourself. I think sometimes is a big eye opener.
I don't think it's that you need to be the needle mover. So you're the person who is the one who's 10 steps ahead and always thinking of the next thing. It's not necessarily that. I think it's more so that like it's thinking about like, how could I have done that better? How could we have raised more money? How could we have done this and done that? And it's like, yes, sitting back and like thinking about all of the good things, or all of the ways that the team made something happen, for instance. It's good that you are the needle pusher. It's just that taking time to sit down and reflect, and to really truly enjoy in the moment, and not be always thinking about tomorrow and the next day, I think.
Sure. So 2021, the new me, I will enjoy the moment. But there's lessons to be learned for that. Like Casey said, and like you've said it at the 6WT as well. To people is like, and I, one of your coaching clients, we won't name her, who you just said, like you told her to like, let's focus on, being better every day, or that 80% instead of like those end goals. And you said all of a sudden her numbers, just started skyrocketing because she was enjoying the process instead of being a slave to the results. What about you guys? What'd you guys take away? What's your big one coming up, or your highlight or your low light from 2020?
Mine was, I think Nikki and Riley both did it for our media's days. And I made a personal note before to see if it was accurate. And it was just like, you're not always right in your opinion.
What?
Just when you're doing projects, sometimes you get so caught up in it, and it's just like, I'm on a roll right now. Think this is how it's got to go, and not actually stepping back sometimes and being like, taking in input every once in a while. So that was a big thing for me, is like something I needed to hear in the way of just like let other people take the lead on things, even if it's your project, let other people put in their perspective on things. And because a lot of times it is valid and it is from that third party, which is stuff that I always talk to you about, is like, let that third person kind of do it, because you get so invested in your own project, you might miss very simple things. So having that third person who doesn't have that skewed view look at it, you're going to be better off. So me doing the exact same thing was, I'm so focused on my project and I don't want to hear input. I was doing exactly what I was telling other people or you not to do. And so it was it's good to hear.
Yeah, but and that's the thing, is if you have leadership qualities like you both have, it's kind of hard to turn that off and to maybe sit back on something, and especially if it's something that you really are passionate about or really want to do a good job at. Like, it's hard to just to put that aside and let someone else take over. So that's something that's not a bad quality. It's just something that I think that with those questions for the team, I think that it's basically something that people notice about you, that they think if we would work better cohesively if maybe, we all took a back seat sometimes, or whatever that looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a pride of lions in this place. We got the two males, the young one, the old one who's been here a while, and then our lionesses who like really do run the ship, I guess. And that's Stanley calmly watches as Casey and I battle, and then she just leads that thing on, which is awesome. So grab yourselves a drink. What do we got today? What you guys drinking? So we one of the cool things, we get to actually just kind of like advertise products for no charge if we like them. This is a new cannabis and company just across the street, right? Is that what it's called?
It's Amherstburg Cannabis Company.
Amherstburg Cannabis Company. So this is their one of their drinks. It's just a sparkling water. It's just real low in THC. It's delicious, actually. And I'm trying not to drink so much, so hopefully that will help me. Case, what do you got?
I'm drinking a craft head beer called Happily Ever After that we took off as a wedding gift from Nikki's wedding.
The label with Nikki and
Label and
Mikey's
all.
face on it. So adorable. Well, speaking of true love, let's talk about Stephanie Kidd's husband here, Stephen Kidd. Stephen Kidd, financial advisor. Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? And is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation change? When you work with Stephen Kidd, your local Edward Jones financial advisor, he focuses on what's important to you. You'll work together and use an established process to create a personalized financial strategy backed by the advice, tools, resources to help you reach your goals. And you'll partner to help your strategy stay on track. Contact Stephen Kidd today at 519-734-8599. That's 519-734-8599. Edward Jones, member Canadian Investor Protection Fund. If you listen back on these episodes, the minute I started taking that HQ focus is when I started to be able to handle these read-ins. It's true.
You are embarrassing that person.
The HQ focus has dialed me in on my reading abilities. So if you guys are interested in cognitive support, Casey loves it. Dani dropped 3 of them as she walked in here today after having a long night up with a little bit of pain in her shoulder that's still healing. And, we love that stuff. Anyways, you can go in there. All listeners of Tango One Podcast, use code TANGO15. That's capital TANGO 15 and get 15% off your order. All right, moving on. So
That was so good, babe.
it was.
Good job.
Well, why are you not like this in anything else? This is amazing. Thank you for the encouragement.
He wants that as the highlight clip for the week.
Yes, Josh, you want that part as the highlight. Anyways, let's just talk about kind of the importance of that meeting that we run. I think like every business should do this. I know people do the planning, but I don't think they do the inner work, or not places I've worked, at least, or people that I've talked to, because they're usually amazed to hear that we have these kind of discussions with each other. And I think that I highlighted at the start, we had Dave Haas come in. You guys have all heard us talk about Dave. He's great at what he does, spiritual. And he came in and he just did like a real relaxed opening kind of ceremonies, I guess, for us. He talked about, self-improvement and getting out of your comfort zone, then put us through a 10-minute meditation. The point of the meditation was actually totally personal to each and every one of us, was just kind of letting go of something that's holding you back. And I think if we all on this team worked at letting go of whatever holding us back or fixing whatever's holding us back, then we are going to be so much more effective and so much more able to support each other. Because there's going to be times during this upcoming year, there's times in the, where every single person needed that support, whether it was the loss of a loved one, the closing of a business, surgery, illness to a family member. We went through some obstacles and we overcame them together, and we're able to do that. It's really, really important to me. And what do you think the value is it for you, Dani? That's like your fourth or fifth one of these we've done together.
I think it's just like bonding and always being as a close-knit team is very important, because for us, especially with our backgrounds, I think that trust is a huge issue when it comes to employees, and being able to really truly know someone instead of it just being maybe like your employee or someone you work with, getting to see everyone's true colors, and also knowing that they can, like, I want the employees to tell me if they need something from me, and to have those open channels is important, because I don't want to just, tell someone to do something and they just do it whether they like it or not or not. I like to have that open communication, because then they feel better, I feel better, and we can work better cohesively as a team. And the team is what makes this place work. So I think for sure the bonding, like whether it's like business or partying or whatever, it's all very important.
I think that is a good, like, what you guys do or what you guys have done with this is like you have created that family bond, right? And then I think with that, as employers or as employees, you now have that kind of trust within everybody in the business. And I think my first year when I started, I think it was my first or second month when you guys had your first year-end meeting. And so you'd obviously invite all the part-timers afterwards. So I got to go, and I was just shocked by what I was in, and like as a team meeting.
By what was going on after that. Though,
yeah. As a team meeting though, like I walk into this as a new person, and you kind of like give the gist.
Was that the night that you were singing karaoke?
Exactly.
Like one of
that's
the first
where I'm getting
nights
at.
we ever
But that's exactly it. It's like my second maybe month there is I get invited to the work party where we're going to have a dinner and we're going to discuss what went on through the Q4 meeting. We're going to let the part-timers in on it. And 5 hours later, we're singing karaoke, and like, it's just like this right away. It brings in that family feel. And then from then on, the next year being a part of it, and the last 2 years being a part of it, seeing how you bring everybody together and actually talking about what's going on in everybody and understanding what everybody likes and dislikes. I just think it's such a good way to create that bond. And then after, we do all hang out and have a drink. And, right? So it's just a good way for the team to bond, and you do create further connection to it, because now in a business and a friendship level, we can talk to our bosses and they can talk to us, and it doesn't have to be so kind of like there's no fear as to bringing up actual issues or things like that. So it just creates a good connection and good team bond overall.
Yeah, the second we finished that, the tough part of that meeting, the sharing and the kind of like the ripping on each other, constructive criticism is really what it is. And then we make our commitments to what we're going to do to fix it that year to everybody on that team. We say it out loud, which is very important. So when you're setting goals, Dan Goodman was on just a few weeks ago, the back of that cab, I said, July 1st, I will retire from the police department. Saying that to somebody that you respect and having them like say, okay, I'm going to hold you to that. It just says a lot. So if you're like, whatever your goals are, we just had like, I love that post that Riley told me that story about Lauren Shaw and Chelsea, listening to the podcast and then listening to our little challenge we had within, and then doing one with them themselves. And then like declaring that goal to somebody else just makes you that much more accountable. And one thing that we do, you just did a post about, is the second we're done with that, that high stress thing, we break bread, right? That's your post. And that's so important, I think, when it comes to how we raise our family. How I used to lead that SWAT team was like, we would all sit down together the husbands, the wives, everybody's invited. And we, this year we had to obviously limit our party, but generally it's, spouses are going to be there and we're going to enjoy ourselves. And I think that's hugely important coming from people who used to be on the other side of that, right? Like we saw within the police department that it was very hard for wives, especially the ones who weren't officers, to really relate to what was going on there.
Instead of bread, I believe it was corn tortillas this year.
Don't even get me started on that. They don't have those in Sault Ste. Marie.
No, wheat.
Yeah. Just Mrs. B's.
Yeah, just Mrs. B's Pizza. Shout out Mrs. B's Pizza. The best pizza in Ontario.
Looking for a sponsor. Yeah, no, for sure. It's especially with, looking at the job that we have now versus the job that we had before, there was a lot of times where I think that there was a lot of need for kind of stress relief, let's say. So, this is not the same. It's not the same, but it's good to have, whether it's like the spouse is on board, because then they can understand kind of like what happens in their spouse's job, because you truly wouldn't know, and you wouldn't, and the ability for the spouses to kind of get to know the other employees and the other spouses just creates a bigger family in that sense.
Yeah. And if we're going to work together, like how many hours do we spend at any job? If you have a full-time job, you're likely spending, it's getting a little different now with a lot of people working from home, but you're likely spending 40 to 50 hours a week with those people. Like when I was on the team, I was spending, probably 50 to 60, if not 65 hours a week with those people. That is way more than you're spending with anybody else in your life. So if you hate every moment of that, how is this business going to function? How's it going to succeed? It's not, right? It's going to be, a real slow pulse, and it's just going to, peter by and eventually die out. But we don't want that to happen here. And we truly don't want to. Dani and I did not leave our jobs, our secure jobs, to like come in and be miserable at work every day. Not that that's how it always was in the old job, but there was a lot of that and there was a lot of negativity. We don't want that to leak in here. Oh, let's move on, man. Unless you got something else, anybody. So the moment we all been waiting for it. Yes. No, Dani, let's talk about the holidays. So the holidays are coming up. We got you on here, our in-house garage gym nutrition expert, the diva. Nutrition diva, is that a thing? No, nutrition expert.
Not a diva. You are the diva.
Yeah, you're right.
Our nutrition diva.
Yeah, you are not the diva.
I'm changing my Instagram.
Anyways, I was trying to compliment you. It fucking backfired and you threw it back in my face as usual. So holiday eating tips. We tell people, you know what, like if you want the cake, eat the cake, just not all the time kind of thing. And not to let your holidays get ruined by your macros unless you have some kind of like competition the day after Christmas on Boxing Day. So like, how do you teach your fuel clients and the people that you're working with nutrition on what to do
for the holidays? Yeah. So,
yes, for the holidays. No more THC water for you. Go ahead.
You're just mad. You're just mad. You're just being a diva.
Yes.
Okay. Fuel clients are always like told, or like we always discuss the fact that we are not in this. It's not like when we trained a UFC fighter, Randa Marcos, it's not like we have to make weight. So that being said, that is not a way to live your life. To have a healthy lifestyle and a healthy relationship with food, you need to be able to understand that you should want to enjoy those events. And you should also have that relationship of like, if I want to eat it, I'm going to eat it and then move on. So that nothing changes with the holidays. There's still going to be those, enticing desserts, or there's still going to be lots of booze, or, kind of like things that are out of your control. So in fuel, I talk about making sure that you know that you are the one who is ultimately responsible for your choices. So if you choose, to indulge at Christmas dinner, then own it, indulge, and move on from there. Don't just continue to indulge and get so far off that you feel terrible, that you can't train, that you can't think straight, your energy sucks. Those things aren't going to help anybody. So I think that is one of the more important things that we can kind of think about when we're in a holiday event kind of situation. And Another thing would be, I like to call it the 10 out of 10 list. So for me, if I think of something that's a 10 out of 10, that's something that I will most likely every time, if we're at an event or at your mom's house or something like that, and there is, something that she has made that's a homemade item, am I going to decide to indulge in it? Maybe not, but it's probably going to be something that I'm going to choose almost every time. So for instance,
be careful. She listens to this podcast.
Yes. Can you think of something that would be like a 10 out of 10 on your list that you would most likely almost every time indulge in if you were in that situation?
Dani's vodka bombs.
Yeah, vodka bombs. Yeah.
Dani's vodka bombs. For me, I cannot pass up a piece of pizza, man. I freaking love pizza, and I'm on about 50 other things.
I think nowadays in the holidays is the Swedish meatballs.
Okay.
Swedish meatballs.
They're not that bad.
Okay.
But that's it. I'll sit at that little slow cooker and eat 100 of them.
That's good though, because there's protein in there. There's some protein in there.
Oh, I wish you still had your mustache, because last week you said salami with a mustache, and it was amazing. I was hoping that this week we'd get a Swedish meatballs with a mustache. It just would roll off your tongue so much better.
Casey's a cheap date.
Do you have a slow cooker or crock pot?
Yeah, so for me, like what you said, and this is an example that just happened the other day, but we'll take it back to that staff meeting. At the end of it, we got into some fun, and I overindulged in alcohol, but also in food that night. And then I let Sunday, so I always talk when we coached football, I'm sure you've heard this, or when I say it here, when you mess up, if you fumble, jump on the ball. So we still have the ball instead of trying to pick it up and run. That's how bigger problems happen. So instead of jumping on the ball, Sunday, I end up wasting my whole day. I sit, watch football. I'm half falling asleep. I didn't force myself to go out and probably go for a walk and work some of that off and get some energy back in me. And then that carried over into Monday. So I didn't get to have as much fun on Sunday as I wanted to with the company that I had. And then Monday, I'm in here and I don't feel right because I was laying on the couch all day. My head was still groggy. The meeting wasn't that great because I'm the head of it and I felt like shit. And then we went into our workout, and instead of realizing, you know what, I've done this, and this, I was on the couch all day, I lift heavy. And then today my back is killing me. It was just like a culmination of mistakes that just carries on and on. So rather than just like picking your 10 out of 10 or accepting that, circle that day, Saturday we have a Christmas party, I'm going to have some fun, but Sunday, even schedule yourself some items or some events that forces you to either maintain control or to get up and just suck it up. So you're not carrying it over.
Don't do an FYF to prove yourself the next morning. Like just get out, like the one day in the summer, you have an evening and then it's like, just go do something, go for a walk, go for a bike ride, enough to just kind of burn it off, make it somewhat better that you did.
You could have a vodka bomb the next day. That would help you get past that.
Bite the tail of the dog.
But no, I think that what's really important too is realizing that when we are having holidays or an event or something, that doesn't mean you have to eat and drink like a savage. You can still have fun and enjoy your time and have a blast and party it up. But that does not mean that you have to eat until you have to undo your pants. And it does not mean that you have to drink until you're passed out, right? You can still have a lot of fun and control yourself.
Especially this year.
I feel like you're speaking to me.
I was staring at you, not blinking.
This year, more than anything, you have to go out of your way to do those things. So this is a great year to build those habits because, you're limited to how many people you can be around. So you don't necessarily have to worry about the 30-person dinner with, 60 plates of food and cake and stuff. Realistically, it's probably not available to you. And then you have to go out of your way to get it yourself or make it yourself. It's like, I was talking to one of our clients today, and it was just like, if you don't want to get in bad habits of eating late at night or eating crappy food, one, don't buy it. Just don't have it in the house.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it in the house, you have to go out of your way to go get it. And then at that point, if you're willing to do it, you really wanted it, or it's a bigger problem. But with that, it's just there's simple things you can do by not having it in the room. And that's something this year will kind of give you an opportunity to do that because of the restrictions and things going on. It's not going to be the same sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that I mean, if COVID has taught us anything too, it's to enjoy the company that you can keep within that room or whatever, right? So like instead of making it just thinking about the foods that are going to throw you off your track or the drinks that you're going to have that you just can't possibly say no to, like really focus on like making a point to enjoy every single person's company in your home or whatever, so that like the food and the drink are there and you can indulge in them, but at the end of the day, like making sure that you're actually talking more than you're eating is probably a good thing to think about.
That's a good tip.
But yeah, just to like realize that like you are the one who's in control of what you're eating. So make sure that you are choosing appropriate foods and obviously allowing yourself to indulge, but just, in a smart way.
It's harder to sneak a piece of cake when there's 4 people in the room.
Exactly. You're not in the kitchen by yourself.
All right, let me read in an ad here. So that whole story, not the poor eating, is Kara Murray of Murray Insurance. She was asking about the 6-week transformation recently, and she was somebody who actually like she won it, right? And she didn't really care to do it, and she loved it, which is kind of cool. So she was asking if we were doing it, and that's what reminded me that we were talking all about this holiday eating and transformations and things. So on that note, Murray Insurance, this episode of the Tango One podcast is sponsored by them. Murray Insurance and Financial Services in Kingsville. They are Southwestern Ontario's #1 ranked Desjardins insurance agency by their clients, and they're owned by, as I mentioned, Kara and Ian Murray, OGs from the Garage Gym Kingsville. They pride themselves on many of the high standards that our members have come to expect, and they're experts in their industry with over a combined 100 years of experience. The best customer service in the industry, including claims concierge service, which is exclusive to their clients. They also focus on community, which is very important to us. They employ local team members and invest back into the Essex County community on a continual basis. They are a one-stop shop for everything to protect you, your family, and your assets with the best policies in the industry. They also offer incredible rates, especially when you combine your home, auto, and auto insurance policies together with them. Give their team a call today or send them a text at 519-733-2331, 733-2331, or you can find them at murrayinsurance.ca. I jinxed myself with that one, didn't I?
Butchered it.
Almost made it.
So close. So
On the note
close.
of holidays, do you guys have holiday traditions?
Yeah,
Some we can talk about.
Come on now.
we like to take the kids down to the lights on Christmas Eve, so that would be a thing. We'll visit with our neighbors. Well, we used to visit with our neighbors on Christmas Eve too. But yeah, we definitely have like events that happen every year and like little.
It wasn't even leading you into this, but there's one big event that happened on Christmas Eve. Remember? So we have always, Dani and I, even when it was before kids, we do Christmas Eve ourselves. No other part of the family other than visiting maybe here or there. But she came home on Christmas Eve from work, and I had been spending all day on this like PowerPoint presentation. And
was that Christmas Eve?
Yeah, it was Christmas Eve. Oh my God.
Right.
So I spent all day making this PowerPoint. In the old days, you didn't have them all your phones, and like I'm PowerPointing all these awesome pictures, and it was like to music. And then at the very end of it, I got down on my knee to propose to her. But when we had been drinking eggnogs and spiced rum like you had with us the other day. And so when I did that, she thought I fell off the couch and got all alarmed and didn't know what was happening at first. And then I proposed to her.
It was so special.
Sounds special.
But because we decorated the tree. I don't know what we were doing. Like we did something all day. And then I was like, don't drink so much. Don't drink so much.
You were lecturing me. You're like, can you stop? Could you just like stop drinking? I'm like, pardon? Like, we're decorating the house for Christmas. What else do you want me to do? Oh, and then he was like, could you also maybe take a shower today? I'm like,
I want you to dress up for this dinner I'm making.
I know. I was like, why?
So
you're just going to fall off the couch.
She said yes, and everything worked out. But that I love that tradition with the kids. We go to these beautiful lights we have here in Amherstburg and walk around, and like it's had some great snowy days too, and there's usually empty. And then we just go hang out. It's pretty nice. What about you?
I used to always watch The Christmas Story. Christmas Eve every year. We always had our family over. Like my mom's side always got together that night. And then now we do it with friends, like our close family. I don't know what this year will come, but I used to always do that. And I used to always find at some point in the day to watch A Christmas Story. That one with Alfie.
Yeah, we watched that on Christmas morning
Red
last
Ryder
year.
BB gun. Gets me every year. So that was the one. So on that note, with holiday things, and we're gonna try a little couples this or that today.
What is it?
Mostly
a little what? Couples this or that. All right.
Mostly holiday topics, but I wasn't very creative and found some other ones as well. So first one, would you rather have eggnog or vodka bomb? Tony,
Is this just Christmas Day specific? Like
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day eggnog.
This is why like you should marry someone that's the complete opposite of you.
Well, I did.
Vodka bomb.
without, without hesitation and
Yes.
disgust in her eyes when she looked at my answer.
You're so wholesome.
Next.
What about you,
I know
Case?
the answer to. Oh, I don't know. Both.
Eggnog and the mustache, man. Can't beat that.
Yeah, nothing like eggnog stuck in your mustache.
I know that's how we're with the Christmas holidays coming. This stupid beard, I get food in all the time. The kids are constantly like, "Dad, you
Kids
got
are
rice in
laughing
there, you
at
got
you."
this in there, you got that in there," and I can't find it. I'm worried. I might have to shave you down.
Gingerbread cookies or chocolate chip?
Oh, that's simple. The kids just made. I'm sorry, Mom, you're listening to this. That gingerbread house thing, not the most delicious thing I've ever eaten.
Has
But-
the gingerbread house ever been eaten?
But I don't get it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
they ate it within 3 hours. I think. Like
I
they
always
put it
wondered
together
that.
and made
I
it.
don't think I've ever seen someone eat it because we always make one and then it sits for like 2 months.
Yeah,
And then it
that's
gets
why
thrown
they
out.
just ate it, because they were like, it's either gonna go to your house and sit for like a couple weeks, or you guys can just eat it. And of course, a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old are gonna be like, sure, I'll eat that whole side of the house.
Yeah, 42-year-old kicked in, even though I didn't even really like it that much. I still ate
It
part
was
of it. But
kind of good. I don't know.
it was okay, but it'd been
I'm-
sitting for a couple of days. But yeah, I'm a chocolate chips, 100% Chips Ahoy. Oh, you
I don't
remember the
like
ones that are in
cookies.
those like what?
Vodka bomb. That's my answer.
All right. If you had to go away during the holidays, would you rather go on a winter trip to Montana or somewhere out west, or would you rather go on a beach somewhere?
Somewhere on a beach.
Yeah, somewhere on a beach. You finally got us together on this one. We've been actually though looking to go to a winter wonderland. So if anybody's listening and can suggest something, hit us with a DM. We want something like that we can drive to, maybe sneak out for a week. We haven't done a winter trip
Yes.
ever, have we? Like to a winter place?
Collingwood.
Collingwood.
We went snowshoeing there before.
Oh yeah, for a weekend, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun.
Yeah.
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 Garage Airbnb in Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah, you want the winter trip, don't you?
Yes.
Yes. Hands
Yeah.
down.
Ski trips, yes.
Hands
During
down over the
winter time?
beach.
Oh yeah, in the winter, yes. We've gone on some crazy, like pretty fun trips out west and in Montana and all those. They're a lot of fun.
I would
I
love
would
to go to
love to
Montana.
go there. Yes. Yes.
Just because you're active. Beach trips, I do love beach trips, but I find you're just like you just go and drink for a week and you're on the beach and laying, which I guess is fun. But I like to go and be active and do wintry things during Christmas.
No, for sure. I don't think we're not really like loungy beach people. Like we'll go to the beach, but we'll
But
do
you'll do
other things. We'll like
activities.
hike and Tony's tried to surf before, so he tried.
Kind of successful. I got up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost died.
But yeah, no, I feel like we're a little more active when we go somewhere hot. I guess. But
Good. What's next? We've got sip on tequila or shots.
ooh,
Ugh.
shots always.
I can say you shouldn't sip on tequila and do shots of tequila. That didn't work out very
We
well
weren't
for
doing
me on
shots of
Saturday.
tequila. Not one.
We weren't?
Nope.
Oh, I was sipping. I was sipping straight tequila while doing shots,
Oh,
which is
you
not a
slipped
good.
there.
Yes, well, I kind of, but yeah, I'm a shot guy too. I'm gonna have to go with shots. Shots.
Would you rather be a Lions
about you?
fan
What about you?
or a Dolphins fan?
You want to sip on eggnog or shoot it?
I don't know if you shoot eggnog ever.
You do at my house.
Depends the setting. Paint me a picture.
All right, what was the next one? You guys are good.
Lions fan or Dolphins fan?
Oh, come on. Hands down. You can't tell me that you're not actually a Lions fan at heart.
I hate the Lions.
Give me a break.
I don't understand why. Okay, so the kids they told me I'm a Miami fan, which
They're
just
not doing terrible this year.
I know. I love the Miami Dolphins now because they're winning more games than they're losing.
8-4.
And I feel like their quarterback is a pretty funny guy. So that's good.
Fits.
Yeah.
He just got benched. But
Well, whatever.
He was playing for a while.
He was probably being
having a
too
great
he-
season.
he was having a great season. Obviously, they made a decision for the future, I guess. But yeah.
Lions fans, all you guys do is you're like cheering for them and then they blow it always. And then you're like so shocked every week. You are shocked that they blew
This past Sunday, they did the opposite, which was actually shocking. But I'm a huge Lions fan. My dad is a Lions fan, and I released my kids of that doomed future. I allowed them to pick whatever team they want. As long as they stick with the Tigers in baseball, they can pick any other team they want, and they got to stick with it. That's the other rule. They can't do the Joe Monette thing. Hope you're listening, Joe. And switch your team, basically, the Yankees, whoever's winning is going to get the Patriots, whatever. Or Tyler Monette, even more so.
Control he thinks he is. I can't wait to the kids.
Calling out my nephew, Tyler, switching your teams all the time. Not cool, man.
Can't
Not
wait
cool.
till they both get Packer jerseys for
Well, who do you like better, Miami or Detroit?
Green Bay. But if
Okay,
I
no,
had
you
to
have to.
choose,
Stay in the division, man. Stay in the division.
I know, but that's why I can't like the Lions because they're in the division.
Yeah, like a team that wears aqua.
Casey's.
Teal.
We all know what you're thinking. Okay,
I'm
Casey,
thinking
you don't have to
Dolphins.
answer.
I'm
All
gonna
our
say
Italian
Dolphins.
friends are listening. Say
Big Tua
Dolphins,
fan.
Dolphins. All the
Big Tua
Marinos.
fan right now. That's all I have.
That's all you got for us. At least you didn't get deep on us. Anyways,
Everything I searched was just inappropriate for radio.
this is the new age, though. There's no like trying to create. It's like, let's search it. Google it.
Creativity was low.
Even our kids they asked Google 50 questions this morning between 11 and 11:15.
Yeah.
If you do that though, you never get caught in a conversation where you've just been fed lies though. Because you don't get just bullshit by people and then you're like, hey, did you know Miami Dolphins are undefeated this season? Alexa checks up on it.
Anyways, great episode. Thank you, Dani, for coming on. And anybody, if you need help setting up any kind of like team meeting, team building, hit us up. We'd be glad to send you in the right direction or help you out in person, whatever you want to do. But either way, keep working towards your weaknesses. Takes time this week, and like kind of think about your own little team meeting with your own family or your own person and see where you went wrong and see where you went right this year and where you're going to do better in the upcoming year. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.